Yahoo! Okay. Is there anybody out there? Is there anybody out there? Wow. Is anybody out there? Hmm. 8. Okay. Mm-hmm. Hi, Anita. Hi, Giovanni. Welcome to my live gig. So I don't really have any specific plans for this. I'm just really quite elated that they started this new streaming app on YouTube. And I suppose anybody that has a YouTube channel, oh, wait, no. I'm not sure what's required to be able to have it, but I have it. You'd think that I'd have it since I started my YouTubing in January of 2009. So it's almost been 10 years. Wow, wow, wow. So I'm going to have a little 10-year YouTube celebration on January the 1st of 2019. 10 years on YouTube, y'all. Hi, Svet. Hi, Karen. So everybody welcome. And I guess I could talk about a lot of different things. I think I'd rather have this down here. Something like this. Yeah. Maybe. Okay. Anyways, so if anyone has any questions, then just fire them up right there in the chat. Give them to me, y'all. Let's start with that. How about I tell you about a little conversation that I had with a woman in Jamaica the other night. So she has GERD. It's kind of an odd name, isn't it? I do ship to Canada, Elsie. And I'll give you the Airbnb link maybe later. Okay, so I'm talking to this woman in Jamaica that has GERD, which is, acid indigestion. And she was at least 50 pounds overweight. And she has quite a bit of stress in her life. And after talking to her for a few minutes, I came to see how much stress she had. So that was part of the problem. But also, when people are really overweight like that, and in this day and age, it's so indicative of people to not eat very good foods. I've talked about that a lot. But so when people get a combination of different things going on up here and in their bodies, your mind is really well connected and vice versa to your stomach. And so everything just kind of starts to go backward, like retrograde. Right now, Mercury is in retrograde. On Friday, Venus came out of retrograde and Mercury went into retrograde, which means that everything kind of goes backwards and looks differently than what it usually does for that planet. And it's the same thing with our bodies, especially if we've been abusing them. And our bodies kind of have a mind of their own. And people don't understand this. But as soon as your body starts to intuitively know that it wants to start purging and getting rid of that which it has accumulated, then your mind is just in, like, people that don't understand how this works, they're afraid, they're scared, because all of a sudden they can't hold anything down. And she's been doing this stuff like Prilosec. It's basically the same active ingredient as the antacid Prilosec. And I've already been through all of that, y'all. Years and years ago, they administered Pepsid AC to me. It was the prescription strength version, 50 milligrams. And after a while, your body just doesn't respond to it anymore. And if you still got the same issues, but you're just covering it up, then it's not going to work. And so, you know, you've still got the bacteria and parasites and mucus, and you're still eating the same foods. And so you haven't made any changes. So if you haven't made any real changes, you can't expect some prescription drug to continue to just work for you forever. It's not going to work. And so that's what's happened to this girl, just like it happened to me years and years ago in the early 90s, about 90. And so I started to learn about health and healing, and I started to turn things around, but I didn't realize that it was going to take a lot longer than I originally thought. I thought, you know, because I'd had all the experiences that I had had with healing that wasn't really even healing, was that I could go on antibiotics for a week or two, and then blam, wham, thank you, ma'am, it was over. I was feeling good again, and the problems that I had been experiencing were gone. That's not how it is with natural healing, because if you've been eating bread and cheese and cookies and donuts and all of that kind of crap, Doritos, all kinds of flavors of Doritos and popcorn and, you know, ice cream. If ice cream is a nightly treat for you, oh, have you got some problems in store for you in the future? Because it's been accumulating. It's been strewing throughout your body ever since you started eating it. And for me, I was born with it. Okay, so this girl, I'm trying to tell her that she, you know, whenever she feels nauseous, for me, what I learned was best to do was to get out all that was sitting in the bottom of my stomach. So what I would do is I would take a glass of water like this, and I would fill it, and I would fill it up, and then I would put a couple of teaspoons of baking soda in there. And what I learned is that neutralizes the acid in my gut so that I could then throw it up. And so that's what I would do. And I would drink it and then throw up, drink it, throw up. I would keep washing it out. And I learned this from doing enemas. This is how you do enemas. You just keep washing it out and washing it out until the water comes out clear. And then maybe even a few more to get whatever extra excess residue is in there out. And so then you'll find that, oh, pretty soon you start to feel better. So instead of just consuming some Tums and adding, so you got all this who knows what in your stomach, pesticides, chemical residues, all kinds of crap in there, preservatives. All kinds of preservatives that were in the food, because they don't want the food to go bad. If the food goes bad, then they just throw it away, and then the company doesn't make any profit. So what do? They put some FD&C number 64 yellow in there, and then it's in your stomach. And that shit's been accumulating in your stomach with every Dorito or Cheeto or whatever it is that you've been consuming for 15, 30, 40 years. Of Dorito FD&C number 74. And so, so is that just going to go away by next week. Keep washing it out. That's what I did. I just kept washing it out, and I'm doing a lot better now. But I also have a lot of complications, and probably, I'm sure, certainly to this day, still complications from all of the various antibiotics, the against life things that they administered to me. And so that just weakens your immune system and weakens your immune system. The more you weaken the body, the more you weaken the mind. It just goes back and forth and back and forth. And so you have to just, in the beginning, it's really, really hard. Thank God I got through the hard trenches in the beginning. In the beginning, it was just like I didn't know if I was going to make it from one day to the next. That's how bad it was. And thank God for my counselor, Ann Waters, and other people that helped me through. I knew that the what's it called? Zoloft. I knew the Zoloft wasn't the answer. That's for sure. So, anyways, so there are just so certain things. In the beginning, a person's body and their stomach is very, very sensitive. You may not be able to consume very acidy foods, because if you've got all this accumulated acid in your body, I mean, I'm telling you, I know about that. When your feet and your hands and your stomach and your whole freaking body is just full of excess acid, you are very, very acidic. And your body, it knows not to consume citrus foods. It doesn't like those. It doesn't like tomatoes. It doesn't like to eat meat too much. All these foods. And so the obvious question that a person is going to ask is, well, what can I eat? Which is what she was asking me. Well, what can I eat? So alkaline foods, potatoes, since they have a lot of potassium, they're really alkalizing. And cooked cabbage, not raw cabbage, probably for most people, cooked foods are going to be the easiest on their digestive systems, not raw foods. You know, if a person does have really good digestion still, and they haven't destroyed their flora with antibiotics, then perhaps, and if they live in a place that's very tropical like Jamaica, more likely, it's more likely. But, and it depends on their ancestry too, and their constitution and their stress level, all of these different things. When you're somebody that is doing a holistic consultation, that's what you're doing. You're talking and you're listening, and you're looking and you're feeling what the person is needing. And if you've been around the block with the exact same kind of a thing as this person, then it's pretty easy, because you don't forget. You don't forget the hell that you went through before. And it's the same thing with, you know, having been through family troubles. You don't forget. You don't forget that crap. So anyways, I hope that I kind of got her out of her fear mindset and knowing that these were kind of normal and natural things that her body was going through, because her mind, so your mind, it doesn't understand. Until your body has been through stuff, unless you've really educated yourself and listened to somebody like myself that's been through these things, then you go to the doctor and they give you some crap in a pill, and then it's not working for you. And then you're like scared, because these are people with white coats on, right? These are people with degrees that think they really know what they're doing, because they learned that in school. They learned that, oh, this is what you do. You give them this drug, and for this scientific reason, this particular chemical in this drug, it turns off the acid producing is in your stomach. So I don't even know anything about any of that, but I don't need to. I know what fucking works. I know what works. And I know to stay clear the hell away from those doctors and their freaking drugs. Now, does that mean that I'm recommending that everybody else immediately get off of them? No. So everything is best with healing. It's most of the time. Most of the time. I'm not saying all the time because there are no absolutes here. But most of the time, it's best to gradually flow. To gradually flow, ebb and flow with the tide. And not to make crazy judgments and changes. And so that being said, I think I'll stop and check out the feed for a minute. Okay, I stopped taking Prozac when I found out that it was linked to dementia. Hi, Brett. Greens from Texas. Hi, Jason. Cybernetic. Greetings from Sydney, Australia. Hey, how are you out there? Love those Aussies. I was on Prilosec for months for heartburn when it was really IBS. Well, if you've got heartburn, then you probably also have IBS. To a degree, one or the other. Is detox a lifelong process? I wouldn't say like detox is a lifelong process, but healing is a lifelong process for sure, for every one of us. We are all in the same boat. And we have different things that we have to address. And we came here, in my opinion, with different priorities. And we were assigned different parents and situations. But we all have to kind of eventually move towards the center. And the center is whatever you want to call it. And I won't even use the G word. Okay. Hi, Johnny. Hi, Connor. Hi, Buck. Hi, LB. Hi, LZ. Hi, Anita. So where's everybody from? Okay. Where y'all from? Right in the chat where you're all from if you haven't already done that. Southern Cal, Joyzy, Brisbane, Minnesota, and New York. I get it now. That's one of my favorite girls. Hey, I get it. What is your name again, please? New York. It's up to you, New York, New York. Should I do this more? Should do this more often. Sacramento. Oh my God. Are you, is the air okay there, Grimes? How's the air doing for you? I put in a little note that it's really good for people in smoky areas of Northern California to get themselves a charcoal mask. And they have them on Amazon, like 10 for 15 bucks or something. They've got activated charcoal in them. And if the smoke is bugging you, I mean, when people burn their wood burning stoves around here and I go outside, sometimes when it's really cold, I mean, it's smoky out there and I don't like it at all. So, you know, it's just something that I have to put up with. But if there's forest fires, that's just like, that's the worst. I experienced some of that last year. When I lived in Brevard, or actually 2 years ago, I lived in Brevard and I was really, really close, like within 5 miles of the Pinnacle Mountain fire. and it burned for weeks. It was just like, sometimes if the wind was blowing north our way, it was horrible. It was so freaking smoky. Half Moon Bay, California. Oh yeah, that's Barbara. Hey, Barbara. So, for healthy skin moisturizer, my hands are always becoming dry and cracked in the winter. I use coconut oil. You know, I just put coconut oil on my skin when I go sit in the sun or when I'm doing massage. That's always what I'm putting on my skin. And I stay away from creams. Always check the ingredients list, y'all. Always check that, you know, and if it's got a bunch of funky chemicals and preservatives in it, just stay away. If your skin is dry, consume more water. And, you know, also if you consume more omega-3 and less omega-6, which is really not easy, flax crackers are really good, and fish. Those foods, and less omega-6 and 9, because see, like most nuts and seeds and meats, you're gonna easily be able to get omega-6s a lot more, and that clogs your body and slows your everything down, your metabolism and your blood flow. Everything slows down, and your skin gets like more clogged when you're consuming more omega-6. You'll notice that, like, if you're imagine eating cashews all the time versus consuming fish or flax oil, flax seeds, flax crackers. Imagine the difference. Like, you're going to start looking whitish. You'll actually start looking, and especially with the more, like, cheese is an easily to notice one. I see people that they're just like, oh, that person looks like they've been eating a lot of cheese. They're starting to look like cheese. Well, to a lesser degree, like the next one that's the next mucousy-ish is soy. And if I consume too much tempeh, then the next morning I will be really mucousy. I will be just like, and just like gobbing up mucus, and my eyes, I'll just be like mucousy, because soy does not the exact same thing, because it's not as mucus forming, but soy is also mucus forming. And these are like, one woman in one book, I can't remember the name of the book that I read, it's been a long time, but she talks about how these are buffer foods. These mucus forming usually have a lot of calcium. Like dairy has a lot of calcium, and almonds, all of these dairy substitutes, almonds and hazelnuts, all these, and let's see, rice milk, all these different foods that you can make milks out of, which aren't really milks. They're not from any mammary gland, all obviously, but they're like substitutes for dairy. And so any of these kinds of foods, they'll typically add calcium to them sometimes, or add vitamin D to them, like the same, just like with dairy, they add vitamin D, vitamin A sometimes, usually. And what else do they add to dairy? It's been so long since I've consumed any dairy. But in any case, the answer to the question is like less clogging foods and more, especially with oils, especially with the oils. Anything that typically has oils in it, like animal foods, like nuts and seeds, like dairy. Hopefully you're getting off of dairy completely. That helps your skin to look better. But bear in mind, when you're detoxing a lot of chemicals, that's the exact opposite of what your body really wants. See, what's able to absorb chemicals in your bloodstream is fat. Just like when you consume, like, what do they call it when you take coconut butter, coconut oil, and put it in your mouth? It's called Somebody write that down there. Crap. Oil pulling. Okay, so just like oil pulling. So when you consume a bunch of nuts, which is what you're really going to want to do if you're not feeling good, you're going to want to eat peanut butter. You're going to want to just sit and eat cashews. You're going to want to eat anything fatty. Avocados, you'll eat shitloads of avocados. That's why the almond business is going nuts, because almonds have a lot of calcium in them naturally and a lot of minerals, and they're somewhat mucus forming. That's why they make almond milk. And so you're going to want to use these substitutes in the beginning, and you may have to consume all of these fatty substitutes for a long, long time. And so don't expect to get really clear skin really fast, because that's probably not going to happen. Whenever you're detoxing a lot of chemicals, and if you've been driving in traffic every day for 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, the more you drive in traffic, the more you're driving in this giant stream of auto exhaust coming out of hundreds of cars that are in front of you. And then you're gassing the people behind you. And so people don't realize that all of that is gradually every single day accumulating in their bodies a little bit more and more. And so then your body, when it goes into a state of purging and release, then it all gets back into your blood from the fat and from the tissues in your body and from your liver that's been accumulating in it. Your liver, it gets just like the most toxins, because it's been filtering your blood and it's been building up toxins in it. When I first started doing liver cleanses, and I would do the whatchamacallit seed, it would just like, I would get so angry. What's it called? There's a specific seed that's totally geared, like it totally releases toxins from your liver. I haven't done it for so long, I can't even remember the name of it. It's an herb, and it's a little brown seed. It's about like that. And yeah, the almond business. And not only that, have you noticed how all the nuts and seeds are like 2, 3, 5 times more expensive than they were just 5 or 10 years ago? Have you noticed how the prices have jacked up to the max on nuts and seeds? Almonds, organic almonds now are like at least $10 a pound, if not 12 or more. Brazil nuts are like 17 bucks a pound. And that wasn't even organic the other day. It's freaking ridiculous. And that's because, see, trees, it takes time for trees to grow. So I imagine that right now there are a lot of people out there trying to grow almond, fruit, and nut trees, especially nuts and seeds. Seeds don't grow in trees, but nuts, trees. A lot of people are probably trying to grow nut trees like crazy now, because there's such good money in it. And the more people get sensitive to dairy and have to get off of dairy, the more they have to find an adequate substitute. And that means almonds and other nuts and seeds. And the first thing that they're going to want to do is they're going to want to turn it into a liquid, because that's what they're used to. And they're going to call it a milk. And so the mind is a funny thing, y'all. Do you do beet juice for liver detox? It's nutty. But do you eat oatmeal? I don't do well on oats. It's a different kind of gluten. It's a gluten, though, that's in oats. And I don't do well on those either. Once in a while, I try it just to see. I ate a very small amount of oats the other day, and it didn't bother me. I'll have to try it again to see if sometimes you can go back. So a food that you once thought was trouble for you, see, like say an acidy food like I was talking about before. Say that you have an acid problem in your body and you can just no longer consume any citrus or tomatoes. And so then after years and years, you get rid of your acid problem by flushing out all of that accumulated acid. I went vegan for 4 years, and that really helped to cut down and get rid of all the acid. And so now you no longer have an acid problem, and you go back and you try some citrus, and you find that you can consume it, or you find that you can consume it once or twice a week in a limited amount. So you can at least go back a little bit to consuming that. And somebody might say, well, why would you want to go back to consuming that? For instance, like everything, for instance, has a beneficial value. And if you need that specific type of a benefit from that particular type of a food, then maybe that would be beneficial for you. For instance, grapefruits, and especially their seeds, have an antibacterial quality to them. And also they're very, very, liquefying. All citrus has a lot of liquid in it, and that helps to keep you hydrated. That's very important. It has a lot of vitamin C. And also in Chinese literature, they'll tell you that it's really, really important to get a little bit of each kind of a taste of a food. And bitter is one of the harder things to find in foods. Not all foods have a bitter taste to them. And you may be craving bitter. And that's good if you're ready for it, which means that you're probably ready, like me, to start killing off candida and other bacteria, like in more of a final stage of that, which means that you've I could go on and on and on. It means that you've done a lot of heavy work. You've gotten through a lot of your more heavy work, and you're more getting down to the nitty-gritty. Okay? Hello, Meat Virginia. Poopy pants stink. I went poop vegan for 4 years. That is so good. I am so glad to have somebody on my chat named Poopy Pants. That is wonderful. I get it. Okay, so are there any other questions? Oh my God, I've been talking for 35 minutes now. Do you recommend eating? Now remember, I don't recommend things. Don't use that word. The FDA will be coming down on my ass soon. I'm just here to tell you my experiences, and hopefully you'll benefit from them, right? Once a day for muscle building. If so, what would it be more? Would it be more protein or vegetables, or what should the diet combination be like? Elsie, I don't think in terms of should I eat more protein or should I eat more carbohydrates or something like that. I don't think in terms of that. I think in terms of like, oh, what do I feel like eating? Just like when I was a kid. Remember when you were a kid and you would say like, what sounds good today? The difference between the way I was thinking now then and the way I'm thinking now is that now I have, I was going to say restrictions. But that is not an adequate description for what I have now. Okay, so now I have knowledge. I have guidelines based on knowledge and spirituality. And that means that I don't break the rules. I don't break the general rules. Okay, so the general rules for me are, the most important one probably, is that I eat whole foods with no preservatives, and they need to be almost all the time organic. whole organic foods. And for me, that's just like a no-brainer now. I can tell you that for a while, that was not so easy. And for the first 6 months of getting off of sugar and white flour foods, I spent all night, every night, I mean, like for the full night, 8 or more hours a night, every night, sweating in my bed and dreaming about cookies and candies. And I mean, like crazy ass dreaming and sweating. I would wake up in the morning and my sheets would be wet. I would have to take all the blankets off so that it could all dry, because I couldn't wash my sheets every day. And I would get up and do it again. And the first 6 months, just getting off of those things, donuts, white buns from hamburgers, just getting off of those, that alone, it was 6 months before I stopped sweating and rolling around, like rolling into the bed all night long and sweating. So that was the first rule. I was really, really stubborn about sticking to that rule in the beginning. And that's why, I mean, I didn't go back. I didn't break that rule. I stayed strong and I got through it. And it was just like a drug addict or worse to get off of that one. And then it took me another 7.5 years of quitting and then going back, quitting and going back to get off of wheat and dairy. I was told by the allergist that I was allergic to those foods and that I needed to just stay away from them. And I didn't believe it at first, but after consuming them and then getting the acid indigestion continually over and over, every time that I consumed any cheese or yogurt, oh, I thought, yeah, I can eat yogurt. That's supposed to be good for you, right? It didn't work. And even after I got my own goat, it still didn't work. Milking my own goat, because I read Native Nutrition by Ron Schmid. And he's one of the Sally Fallon followers, okay? He's not a Sally Fallon follower. They're all members of the what do they call it? The meat eater people. The pro meat eaters, you know, the primate eaters, whatever it's called. So they're all a member of that guild, from the guy that was the dentist that studied people's teeth, the ancient people's teeth, and found out that all of these ancient people had perfect teeth, and they didn't consume any of these processed foods, whatever his name was, from the 30s, I believe it was. He was a dentist. He was a dentist. They're all followers of that guy. Okay, so in any case, there's a lot of truth to that stuff. There's truth to every single little diet thing. You know, somebody on my journey, I'd be like, in the beginning, it was macrobiotics. And then I started to get into the native nutrition, the original diets, whatever it's called, the meat eater diet thing. And so for a while, I didn't consume any grains at all. Didn't work. So I've swung back and forth and back and forth. I went vegan for 4 years. And so I've learned that there are benefits to each and every diet. But what I wasn't ready to face for a long, long time was moving to the country. I was scared. I was very scared, because I knew what was out in the country people. And I was like, I knew that I could hang with people in progressive cities like Asheville, Boulder, Ashland, you know, the Sedona, all of the new agey towns. I knew I could live in one of those, or like a resort town like Park City or Jackson Hole. I could live in those places. Man, those are cool. I could ride my skateboard around. But could I live out in the boonies? And you see, This thing, this thing and being able to communicate with the outside world from my little prison cell here. This is what's getting me through now. This and you guys supporting me and buying my products. See, I'm supporting you, but you're supporting me. It's perfect. It's a perfect partnership. We are one, baby. And it's really cool that finally YouTube created the streaming software so that I don't have to use the OBS anymore, because it's hard to get that to work, even with reducing the pixel, whatever it is, numbers. This automatically adjusts to create the perfect clarity of the picture. It automatically adjusts, and this is giving me the best deal. Even though you'll see that it skips a little bit here and there, it jumps a little bit. It's not bad, and the audio is perfect. Check it out. There's my audio. Got a cool mic. So anyways, let me check out the feed again. The feed. See, you're feeding me. Hey, Brett, Tiffany, how are you? LB, what does that stand for, LB? Prison cell, freedom. Yeah, I know. I know. Well, it's not like I can't go outside, you know, but I live in a place that's, I'm not even close to an interstate. It takes me 30 minutes, roughly. It takes 30 minutes to drive to an interstate from here. And where I'm at in North Carolina is one of the more secluded areas. Okay, I mean, it's hard to get farther away. I mean, actually, there are some places where you can get farther away from civilization, if you will. But I mean, this little town that I live by, it doesn't have a Lowe's or a Home Depot. All we have is this crappy little Ace Hardware that hardly has anything in it. And I always have to drive to Weaverville to get like just basic things that you'd think that you could find at a hardware store. And there's not even a Walmart. There's a Walmart in Spruce Pine, and it takes about 30 minutes to get to a Walmart. The store that actually has that's like a variety store in the town that I live in, every time I go there, they didn't even have pajama bottoms, men's pajama bottoms. And so I'm telling you, thank God for Amazon. If I didn't have Amazon and the internet, I would be totally screwed. If I didn't have UPS and USPS, I would be up the creek with no paddle. Hey, Brett, I'm a longtime fan, and me and my buddy want to live in a cabin. I need internet for my editing job and want to know how you do it. Thanks. Well, that's part of the problem. When you live out in the country, the farther out that you live, it's most likely that the slower your internet speed is going to be. And, if you're working for yourself, then that's cool. If you're answering a phone and you need to have a certain amount of speed, then you might be in trouble. But here, it's not too bad. Here, it's better than it was over in Brevard. I usually get a 25 megabyte download speed and a 2.3 something upload speed. And so that's why you'll notice that the picture here isn't that great, because it can only run so many pixels. It can only run so good of a quality. And so, hang on. Okay, so editing job. Yeah. So It's not bad here, but bear in mind that HughesNet, if you have to get satellite internet, which was what I thought I had to have when I was at the trailer, but well, that's kind of a long story. But that's what I had when I was in the trailer. And the satellite internet, it really is a drag because there's always this lag time. And also, it just doesn't work that good, especially in the evening when everyone is using up the bandwidth. And so, internet, you have to really just make sure that wherever you move, make sure that you've got internet and find out how fast it is and how reliable it is. Can you address my question about natural treatment for depression? What is your question? But please address my question. Now look, y'all. I'm not always looking at the feed. You should know that, right? So I didn't see all these questions. I only check the feed once in a while. So what is your question, Virginia? And also, anyone out there that's wondering, like, Brett, what about this or what about that? Okay, so if you go to my homepage in Vitality Massage, you'll see a little magnifying glass there and a search box. If you click on the magnifying glass, then you'll get a search box. And all you have to do is put depression or my foot's going numb or whatever it may be. And then maybe a video will pop up. You have to do a search for it on the Vitality Massage homepage. And I guarantee you, I have videos on depression and anxiety. I have lots of those. About natural treatment for depression. Okay, so here's one for you, Virginia. You'll notice that if you go to my site, you might find some inversion treatment. Sorry. Every time I drink water, I always drink gulp air. So I think my own opinion about depression and the mind is that one thing that's really, really good for me anyway is to invert myself a little bit. And when I say invert myself, I mean that I learned how to go out on a hillside with a slight gradient and lay with my head down and my feet up. And that does a lot of things good for your brain. First, it gets more blood to your brain, obviously. Second of all, it relaxes your whole body because when you're sitting up like I'm doing right now, all of the weight of your body is compressing down on your vertebrae, on your digestive system, on your organs. Everything is being compressed that way. It's really incredibly relaxing for the body and the mind to invert yourself just a little bit like that. More if you want, less if you want. And just sit there, especially outside. Outside, especially outside. If it's a nice day and it's warm, and especially in the sunshine. It's so, so good. And then just reach your arms over your head. Do some hip twists and massage your shoulders. And when you massage and stretch and you're a little bit inverted, it's wonderful. It's amazing. And look up at the trees and listen to the birds. It's fucking fantastic. It's as good as Jesus. I'm not kidding you. It's like better than any church that you could be in. It's God's church. It's like you are in God's for real freaking church. There's no bricks. There's no foundation. There's no preacher. and there's no tithing. There's no nothing. It's just trees and birds and you getting more blood in your brain. And if you've been eating good foods, then the nutrients are in the blood and getting to your brain so that you can talk and walk in perfect synchronicity. And I've learned how to do these things by just listening to my body and my mind and doing them. And, you know, and I would look at things, I would be like, oh, look at that inversion table for $300 on Amazon. I wonder what it would be like to just go lay on a hill. This was about 3 years ago. I wonder what it'd be like to just go lay on a hillside inverted. If I could just get 10 or 20 degrees on a hillside. God. If I could just get 10 or 20 degrees inversion on a hillside, how would that feel? And I did it, and I knew that long. It took that long before I knew that it was absolutely incredible, and it was something that I was going to want to do regularly for the rest of my life. When I lived in that trailer, for some reason, it just kind of got away from me. But I've been doing it on this hillside here. Yeah, it's so awesome. So there's one thing that you can do for depression. How many things there are that you can do to get a better, happier mind? The list goes on forever and ever and ever. But that's one kind of a physical initial thing that you can do that helps with your body first and then your mind. Thanks for answering. I have a low immune system. Buck, a low immune system, asthma, adrenal insufficiency, and more. That sucks. I think that a lot of you, LB came for chakra. Hang on. You didn't come for me, LB? Nothing? Not even like 10% for me? What's up with that? Chakra. Chakra. Come over here to say hi to everyone. Come over here near to me. Fran. Alice says hi. Honey. Alice says hi. Oh, how cute. Isn't she beautiful? She's 11 and a half. Chakra is 11 and a half. She is my own friend. Oh. You're so good, baby. We haven't taken our harness off her yet. We went to the store a little while ago. She has to have her dog seat belt on. So, let's see. I get it now, loves dog. She's a good girl. She is very beautiful eyes. Now that's cures depression. Yes. This one cures depression. Okay, so it's 5 minutes to 9. So I was thinking that it might be smart to do one of these little session-ish things every Sunday night between 8 and 9. Does anybody think that that would be good? Would that be cool? And then everyone would know that, okay, that's the time of the week when Brett does his little live Q&A and discussion thing. And if you have a suggestion, like maybe next week we'll just do a live massage workshop. Okay. I've learned recently that to keep the energy flowing for me, I need to have more direct connection with my viewers and customers, etc. You know, and because I know that you all have a lot of troubles, and that some of you need a direct connection with me. You need to connect with me on Facebook, friend me on Facebook, and then we can have a FaceTime consultation, holistic consultation. If you want to use Skype, we can do that. If you really don't want me to see you for some reason, if you live in the US anyway, we can talk on the phone, or Canada. US or Canada, we can talk on the telephone. But if you live out of the US or Canada, it has to be on Skype or FaceTime. Oh my gosh, it's so sleepy. Okay. Okay, go back to your doggy bed. Okay. Hey. She shook. She shook and her tail hit this ruler and knocked it on the floor. Go lay down, Pooh. Go. So, yeah, I'm coming to this realization that, yeah, I can probably start a comedy channel and I can probably make some really funny videos and do all that kind of funny business stuff. But it's probably just as important for me to connect with people and help them with their healing. I mean, what can be more important than helping? Like, hundreds of people are going to see this, right? And they're going to learn about the things that I talked about in this video. Those experiences cannot go untold about, untransferred. What's the word? It has to be told. The things that I've learned about have to be told. Otherwise, it's really a waste. It's just a waste. All the pain that I endured, that cannot just go down the toilet, however you want to describe it. And so if that can help people, then yeah, this will be my church. This will be my Sunday night church, for lack of a better word. I expect to score some major freaking points for this, Lord. Serious. When I get to the Golden Gates, I'm going to be like, hey, where's my hot naked women and money? Who like me. A community of people that like me. No, you love me. You freaking love my ass. You're like my family. You all are my family. And you'll notice that there are no asshole comments. There are no asshole comments there. You know why? I blocked them all. Yes. I'm really hoping that they're not able to comment on the feed, the chat feed, because I'm telling you, this world, people are really, there's a lot of people that are really, really fucked up. And I am just not grooving to have them in my life, you know. They can go on somebody else's channel. So, Guar Baby, have you been watching me since January 1st of 2009? That's the beginning. That was the beginning. The first video I ever did was called, crap, now I can't even remember. It was a chakra video. Oh, yes. So, okay, so what was my second video then, Guar Gum? What was my second video? Thank you for joining. This will be your Sunday night church. Isn't there an LDS temple near there? You know what, Joe? The other day, I was curious. I wanted to know if there was actually an LDS temple in Burnsville, which is the town that's like 20 minutes from me, okay? And I looked it up, and believe it or not, there are no LDS temples. Not even one church, not even one Mormon church around here. But like I said, I think before in a video, there's a Baptist church. I can throw a rock out the window and hit one. I can hit 4 of them from here with a rock. There are that many of them. I think they're trying to do it for like a tax write-off or something, some kind of a tax shelter. You're welcome, Guar. You should have called yourself Guar Gum. I love the car cross-country trips. Well, thanks, y'all. Okay, so I'll take one last question. Give it to me. Somebody give me a really, really good question, and I will hook you up with an amazing answer. I'll tell you an answer. I'll give you an answer that's better than anything Donald Trump has ever even said since he's been alive. Can you help Poopy? There's constipation or squirts. Love all of them, Brett. Me too. Lauren is my favorite. I still haven't gotten a fantastic question. Just a fantastic question, like a deep question about the structure of something. Best smoothie for constipation. Okay, Shell, this is it, girl. Take a bunch of grandma's herbs. I was going to get ridiculous. just put some prunes in there. I was going to say, put a whole bunch of grandma's herbs, super lax. I'll tell you what, grandma's herbs, super lax, and the colon cleanser formulas, those will get you moving. But if you want something gentler, just put some, first eat some carrots. Eat carrots because carrots have a lot of fiber and they really grip to the inside of your digestive system well. If you have to chop them up really good because you got like teeth loss, then chop them up in a food grinder. But eat you a bunch of carrots, that'll get you pooping. Eat collard greens, but like eat the stems too, you know. But also to get you going good, it's good to eat prunes. Prunes will get you going. And, you know, Casera sagrada is the herb that they always put in all the formulas that gets you going. But sometimes, like, you don't want to consume too much of that. You'll really get the shits, like, and you won't retain the food long enough to get the nutrients out of it. It'll just stimulate. It's like your body wants to get it out, and that's why it does that. That's why maybe it's somewhat poisonous or something, and that's why it wants to make you go. But go easy on that and eat carrots. There you go. So I'm signing out. Shell, I hope that you're doing well, girl. I hope that you're doing all right. You're a warrior. You're a healing warrior. So thanks everybody for joining me, and we'll see you next Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time.